Welcome back to another episode. A good friend of mine just gave me some manuals he found in his late dad's garage. I've never got this one. This is the Unipart Cortina Mk3 book manual, workshop manual. So it's nice to have a collection. I've got the Haynes ones and other ones. It's nice to build them up. Just a little collectible thing. But when I was reading it, and I'm still learning by the way about Cortinas, you always do. I was reading up on the Pinto versus the crossflow engine, and I came across this little picture, and it says the GT version of the 1600 overhead valve. Compare the angled oil filler tube. Do you want to compare it, Smokey? Compare it then. The GT version. Compare the angled oil filler tube in the rocker cover. Okay, so angled. Compare that with figure 142. So flipping across to 142. Exploded view of the 1300 and 600 overhead valve engine. Different filler in the rocker cover. Does that mean is our filler angled? In other words, is Pappa's a GT engine? Now if it is a GT engine, okay, what do you reckon, Smokey? If it is a GT engine, I think it's a little game changer for me. It would seem a shame to not fit it, because a GT engine's a collectible little engine. So given that the engine's out, we're almost equidistant with Pinto and overhead valve. I'll tell you what I mean. The Pinto engine I've got needs parts and work. Not much work, but it needs, I'm bits missing, I'm a carb missing. New one, 200 odd quid. Inlet manifold, 40 quid second hand. A few other things needed, clutch, stuff like that. Well, it has to be a 600 clutch. But anyway, there's parts needed. Could we say that because it's GT, it's worth keeping now? We can use the carb that's already on it. And could we now, with the engine being out, have better access for freeing it up? In other words, how bad is the GT engine? If it is a GT, we're going to have to go outside now and satisfy curiosity. I've not a lot of experience with overhead valve engines, even though I ran them all in my youth from 18 to like 21. I was on 1300 crossflow Escort Mark 1s, Mark 2s in all my cars. My first ever car was a Mark 2 1300 Escort van with the Kent engine. I never struggled in them days. So should we go and have a look, see if it's a GT engine? I noticed a label on top of the rocker cover. It was covered in oil. Will it be that when we get some degreaser on the label, it'll say 600 GT on the engine, in which case it's going to look better in the bay than a Pinto? I think you're going to agree with that one, that original GT engine in Pappa is going to look better in the bay, and it's going to be an OCD thing for me. Let's go and have a look. Well, we're outside, and straight away we've got the angled oil filler, and there's the label on top, but we don't know what it reads yet. So it's rubber up time and degrease. Let's degrease back, and there might be enough of the label left. It might say that wonderful word 600 GT. In which case, shall we get going on this engine? Answers on a postcard please, folks. What do you think? Spray liberally. Come on. Might as well spray the whole engine while we wait and jet wash it down. The jet washer's still out. Why not? So, possibly GT engine. Very grubby and in need of a degrease. Not enough degrease, so we're going to have to top up on the NERTA. A trip is needed to Wipex in Burskoff. Windy outside today. I'm working that label run out of degrease. Is there enough? Is there enough? Should try Bulldog. Shouldn't do really, but we're out of degrease there. Well, the words GT aren't popping up. It's looking like HC. Yeah, it's going to be HC. Yeah, it's going to be HC. 600 HC. Yeah, so HC then, 600 HC, just doing some reading up. I think GT would have had twin choke carb. So possibly different exhaust manifold, so it doesn't look like it's HC, but GT, unfortunately. So yeah, just a crash course for me, or a refresh in some respects, because I'm recalling some of this info from my youth. So yeah, that's not GT spec engine, unfortunately. Still not sure whether to use it though. We'll have to decide, see how easy it unseizes. I'm going to try and get a bar on this and just see. There's the spigot. Put these nuts on, go between them. Well, I can tell you this is going to get very messy, very quick if we don't clean this down and get the oil out so we can try and free this engine up. I'm still open to Pinto or Crossflow, but while I'm waiting for bits to arrive, I'm going to keep on. I may as well clean this up anyway. There's no point having it lying around dirty. It's going to lie around, it can lie around clean. So I'm going to try and thin the oil because it looks gloopy. Hot air gun on the sump. Try and get the oil that's in there because there's plenty in, it's pouring out. Fit it down a bit. Then I've got a little extractor pump here. And I'm hoping that is going to draw the oil out right to the bottom of the sump. Because I'm going to be spinning this around. I'm going to be jet washing it. I'm going to be degreasing it. Just so we can check it out. And then but if we do come to pull the head off, at least it's going to be a little bit cleaner. So, apologies for the noise as the gun goes. Let's see what happens. Let's heat this up. You can see the oil's thinned down now with the heat's coming out quite thin, look. Okay, with the engine flushed out, scrubs up, we've got some degreaser on the engine. I'm going to pour diesel through and just flush the rest of the sludge out and vac it out. You should see a thinner solution come out that pump there, a great little pump from Machine Mart. So apologies for the sound, let's get on it. Okay, brought the engine inside. We're going to be working on it outside now that it's clean. So we pushed it in, rolled it in there. Run the dolly, just saw a little chock just to keep it stable. And that's cleaned up all right. Don't think you'll find much grease on this now. Got the jet wash in every angle. Went over with a degreaser, just kept going and going really on it. We can work on this now. Like I said outside, you might have not heard the audio that good. If you're away from this camera by any distance, the mic doesn't pick up. I do have a cordless mic next. I think that's going to be the next purchase. Anyway, the jet wash and degreaser did a good job. I went over with a phosphoric acid spray and then washed that back. That just took off light surface rust, and we are now all clean. The engine number there, of course, we mentioned it matches. And the camera won't actually tilt to give you that, but it's just at the front on the cylinder head. Or is it on the block? No, it is on the block, on like a plinth on the block, but it's the correct engine number, which gives me more inspiration to fix this. And I've got Richard's help as well, because he's good with these. So he can give me some guidance and I can learn as I go. Hopefully you'll learn as well if you're not familiar au fait with Kent engines. A bit of research revealed that the guy that worked on this engine lived in Kent, and that's why it got named Kent. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong on that. The 711M block, as Richard pointed out when we removed it. Core plug there gone. Saw that weeping when I was filling it with water. Here. Easy to do. Still seized solid. I've had diesel in it. I've had bulldog in it. I've had diesel in the sump, and I've drained it all back out again. But it's pretty clean in the sump. It'll probably be lined with sludge. I presume we're going to be taking this sump off. It'll be lined with sludge in there, but there'll be no oil in it anyway. Who knows what the pistons will be like, what the engine will be like. Even if it's not going in, I think we should open it up. But I'm starting to go 75% do this engine, because I'm trying to work on a budget as well. So I'm hoping we can get this fixed ourselves. Richard will be the saviour here, I think. Richard and patrons, and then any YouTubers joining in the fray. Because we're trying to do this for 500 quid challenge. Can we do it? I don't think. I'm already up to half of it on ancillary items. No, I'm in about 150 in so far. Some shock absorbers, they were 80 quid, but that's quite a good price for all four YRB shocks. And then wheel cylinders, brake caliper rebuild kits. It's up to 150, so depends how much this engine costs us to repair. Because I'm going to presume that the pistons are seized to the wall, but we ain't going to know. It's all speculation. Let's carry on. Let's magic up Richard now. If he can't, then I'll take the head off and I'll magic Richard up to help me knock the pistons round, perhaps, or inspect the walls. It's a 100,000 engine. Do we think it's ever been rebuilt in its life? It could have been. It could have gone in for a rebuild. It might have just been rebuilt. You know, 97,000. Could have had it rebuilt. I mean, I could ask. The clutch was okay. I don't know if it was a 100,000 mile clutch, but it was certainly at least 3/4 down. I just don't know what's gone on. Alternator, I think, it's been replaced at some point. A few other little bits. Champion spark plugs in there. They looked clean, by the way. Just a day to get this cleaned up. Just makes work on it now acceptable. Right, I'm going to go and get my tea and I'll resume shortly. Keep it on going with this engine. Project Pappa then, folks. Okay, first I'm just offering the rotating section of the engine stand, and you just bolt it through the bell housing bolts, holes, 17s on this. Open that up. These little arms, you can see these red, in case you've never used one of these before, you're thinking of buying one and whether you have to get one to suit your engine. Well, this certainly works on a 4-cylinder engine. They'll adapt to any bolt pattern, or most bolt patterns. So the one from Machine Mark, which I think is where this is from, is adjustable and fits a Pinto, and indeed, as you can see here, fits a crossflow, fit most engines. So 19s now to just lock the arms solid. That one needs an open-ended. It looks like, yeah, those top two need an open-ended 19. We won't get in with this ring. Actually, won't go anywhere with that. It's best to nip these up. They were set for Pinto, so I'll loosen them down. Let me get an open-ended 19, which I don't think I'm carrying there. Staying on, open-ended 19 coming up. Then just lock these on. And we can start putting it onto the actual frame and then rotate the engine, get the sump off. I bet you it'll be grubby in there. Nip these. Nip that one. Good old engine stand. Done a few engines for me now, right? So that's that bit. That's that section on. Now all we've got to do is offer it up to the crane. I keep calling it the crane, the stand. I'll rotate round, bring you back. This is a little bit tricky. I'll show you what I mean. There's nothing about making mistakes, because you learn and you never forget, you never do it again. Right. Thank you very much. Finally on. A little bit higher so that wheel can jockey forward. There you go. Right. Lock that into there. Okay, so engine's on the crane. We can in theory spin it round or whatever we want. We're going to need some cloths, we're going to need some tubs, because taking off these ancillary items, we'll do that now. They're going to pour oil out. Well, the oil filter will anyway. What they'll take it off with the pump rather than unscrewing it, and hopefully, because I've dropped all the oil out of this, there shouldn't be any in the top, so that should come off reasonably clean. Spin them off. And then we'll take off the pulleys, the alternator, pull the distributor out, engine mounts may as well come off, and just basically take it down to bare components for now. Okay? That's just the thread. Okay, there you Oh, this looks bad, it's torch time. Come in with me and see the good, the bad and the ugly. This jacket is completely crudded up. That's a cruddy jacket indeed. Look at this. Come on in. Don't be shy. Come on in. Come on over to my place. We're having a ball. Ooh, that is just solid grunge and rust. This will have to go in an acid dip. This engine would have struggled to keep cool. All that's got to come out, and I think the only way you'll do that effectively, efficiently, and with a level of proficiency and guarantee for future proofing, that's a load of words, but the only way you can do a good job of this is to acid dip the block. That has got to be clean, and that's just not happening. If you were getting the car as a runner, shoving it through the block, you know, sawdust in the gearbox and all, and you just leave that and hope you didn't boil over whilst the bidding commenced. Yours for 4K, provisional sale. So yeah, that's that is gunked up, crudded up. Right, we're going to do the flywheel now. That will be spun off with the impact gun. That's a 16 on the impact gun. We'll get to 16. 16. And then we need to then get a hub puller, I presume. I don't think it would go without a hub puller. This will take this off. Let's go! There you go. There you go. Now then. Hey! Wow! Impressive. Most impressive. Obi-Wan has taught you well. Most impressive. Obi-Wan never told you. Told me you killed him. No. Search your feelings, you know it's true. Obi-Wan never told you. There you go. Oh. It's actually, well, why is that not seized on? Engine seized up, but pulley wheel not. Want an engine that's seized, but the pulley's not. I can't believe it. Right, timing cover off next. Then the sprocket and chain. Then I'll have to mark that. And this is where I'm going to start losing it because this is a timing issue. Sprocket and chain is in there. Maybe I should wait for the adults to arrive, Richard. And see the couture. We shall have to see. I can probably manage the head, Rich. Well, you have all the best parts of the job. Do we rotate this now or not? Now I'm rotated. I don't know if we do. Yeah, a bit of weight on it, Gov. On a funny colour, look. Oh, I'll tell you what, there's a fair bit of weight on that with the head on. I think we should leave it that way. Then rotate when the head is off. It's going to be okay, but it's just top heavy. Pulley bolt back in, please. Thank you, yeah. Well, that's a job, one less job. Now I think I'll do the exhaust manifold then. That's alright with you. Okay, exhaust manifold then. They look like 13s. I'll be right back when that manifold's off. If you want to watch, that's entirely up to you. Someone said to me, oh, I don't like watching your channel, it's boring, there's not enough on it. So I said, yeah, see that on-off button? And other cliches. 13 needed for this operation. Right, the rocker cover bolts are off. Rocker cover's ready to go. Let's see how gunky it is in here. That down there for now. What we like in there? No, we're not ridiculous. Where are you? Where are you? There. So let's have a look. It's gunky, but I don't know. Not crazy. Not the best either. Right, we need to take that assembly off all in one go. That rocker assembly, that's how you adjust your clearances. Wow, that's all easy in the Pinto. Woohoo! Right. Take that off and that'll get us to the cylinder head bolts. Unless I can put you high up. Yeah, I can put you high up. We can do this together. Right, I'm going to take off that bar, that rocker bar. Cam. Is it cam? It's cam. I know the push rods hit it. Do we keep the push rods in order? I think we do. So I'm going to mark them up. Keep the push rods in order. I do know that much. He's behind you. He's behind you. That'll have to be the first one. Right, we shocked it, so it should already go. Yep, it's gone. There's the head. A lot lighter than a Pinto head. What will the pistons be like? Ugh! Ugh! Blockable, blockable. I'll just show you the valves. All the valves are shut bar one. Oh no, that's because the push rods are out. Ooh, what a mess. Right. But, see, it's not as bad as I was expecting. I'm going to have to vac that out. Ooh, that was really full. Right, we need to vac these out. But, there's a lot. Do you mind if I walk away? Is that being rude? There's a lot of gunge in there, and I don't know if my vacuum machine will struggle and block up, because there's all little bits in here. And I'm thinking if I get the vac on it, I could syringe it. We've got the syringe. Let's try that because that's not as liable. To block up. To block up. There you go. That'll work. Sanking you up. Oof, whatever that done. Well, I think it has blocked it up. But this comes apart for cleaning. There we go. Yeah. This is much more forgiving than my little electric unit. That electric unit's great though. We've got gloop in here, big time. Whoa! Hope you can see this gloop. Ugh. That is horrible gloop. Whoa! Where's Humphrey? Where's Humphrey? He's had all the milk. Ooh. It's a biscotti colour. Definitely time for some cloths. It's time to get off the cloth muff. Well, it's sludgy at the top. Will it be sludgy at the bottom? We're losing a little bit of oil dripping down below. The last residues, obviously you're never going to get it dry completely. What will it reveal? Will it start? Will it start video? Crap. Will it start? Crap. Fleet update. Yawn. Fleet update. I haven't got anything to film. Fleet update. YouTube has passed its zenith. YouTube has saturated. The glory days of YouTube are over. YouTube market has saturated. Classic car restoration videos saturated. Will it start videos? Fleet up videos. I've got nothing to film videos. I need to keep my conveyor belt going videos. I just do unboxing videos. I don't put any creative input in videos. Let's buy something off Amazon and make £1 million undoing the packaging. I respect all grafters on YouTube, all them garage grafters, all them people working on the driveways in the cold, all the people in professional workshops that they've worked hard to build. Come on, say to me, oh, it's alright, it's all alright, you're underfloor eating and all that, and unlimited budget. No, there's no unlimited budget. Where do you get that idea? All underfloor eating and paper doilies? No, not really, no. I worked hard for what I've got. Actually, I grafted. I started off in a council house, then I went to a bedsit, then I got going and I going and I going and I going. So no thank you. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the council house. Anyway, they're brilliant. I'm not saying this, but I'm saying that I didn't have a garage. I was working on the drive. So those people all had to go off. All those grafters. All the armchair warriors and the unboxers. Product reviews. Yeah, product reviews. I'm into that. Yeah, that's good. We're actually learning something. It's actually of use. But cheap car reviews and unboxing films, no thank you. Let's go and get a proper job. Whoa! Right, the moment of truth has arisen. how messy will it be in here? I'm as intrigued as you are. Make sure the camera's running. That'd be an embarrassment. I'm looking for a red light, but my lamp is obscuring my vision. Yes, it's running. Okay. Here we go. Boom. So, yeah, about what I expected. A sludgeroony. Not mega, but plenty. 100,000 miles worth of pure, unadulterated gunk. And there you have it. Well, the timing chain's clean. I'll bring you down in a sec. Pick up pipe there. Go. Yeah, expected. All to be expected. It doesn't look. It's not rusted in here. Why is it seized? Can we whack the pistons from here and take the crank out? It's now over to Richard now. You're into, this is special branch. This is special branch, Harold. You earn your keep, Parky. Special branch. Do you knock a piston or what do you do? I mean, I'd be hitting that there because it looks like it's heading down. Nothing will happen though. I'd hit that, but it's probably not the right way to do it. I'll probably do some damage, so I don't know what I'm doing. No movement at all. Locked solid, everybody. I think you'd get something though, wouldn't you? See where I've been hitting the piston. I think there'd be something. Just a little glimmer. Feel nothing. This one. That one. That one. Nothing. Nothing. Unless it is slowly. Nah. You're just imagining it. How to split your block of wood. Boom! This ain't gonna make it, I'm trying to stop you wobbling. There you go. I'll tell you why the Bulldog didn't work. Because the pistons have got bowls in them. I didn't know that because I'm used to flat top pistons on Pinto. So when I've sprayed Bulldog in here, all I've done is filled the bowl because I didn't put mega amounts in because I was expecting it just to level out on the top of, the crown of a piston being flat. So that Bulldog's just been sat in the combustion bowl or the mixture bowl section. It hasn't gone and done what it needed to do. I did not know that. So that's not a fair test of Bulldog. This is the test. Now Bulldog's performed every application and every bolt that I've put on that has worked, and there's not been one stubborn bolt on this whole block. And also there is another one which is recommended to me as well, because we're not biased, I'm just going off reviews, but this one was also recommended. This is Furtan. Again, we're not sponsored or associated with this, but we are entitled to our opinions on what chemicals, tools, etc. in the classic car restoration game we are favourable of. This is Furtan. Of course, I'm not going to put it in. It would not be a fair comparison. That would be for another car. But other penetrating fluids are available. We've tried ATF, and that was full. So it did fill with ATF, the engine. It did fill with diesel, but it didn't fill with that stuff. Okay, and that's what we really wanted to do. Now, I'm going to give it a shot for a few hours here. By the time Richard comes after tea time, we'll see if a smack will bring all good. There are your bores. And as I said before, all pistons are almost in line. Which part of this combustion cycle is that? Well, it could be one of the two, couldn't it? That wouldn't explain why the valves... Why is one valve open? Why is that pushed down? There's nothing to push that down. That's a stuck valve. That is a stuck valve. It's got to be. Because the default position, they're all up. So, in theory, tap it and it'll pop up. Yeah, you got yourself a stuck valve. It's reasonable to assume that that is the clue as to what point in the combustion cycle we were. We would establish if that's an exhaust or an inlet. And then, mind you, the others could have been open and they've popped back up. So actually, no, that's not going to work, Pete. Don't try and get smart on engines, because you don't know what you're on about. Hey, don't be harsh on yourself. Hey, don't talk to yourself. Who else talks to themselves? I do all the time. Don't worry about it. It's a sign of genius. Have you ever marvelled at it, wondered at its beauty? There is another organism that behaves in the same way. Do you want to know what it is? A virus. A virus, Mr. Anderson. A quick OCD thing for you, for all those OCDers, Asperger's and autism spectrum people. That's all of us, I suppose. Yeah. How OCD is this? Out of 10, type away now on the live chat or on the Patreon comments. Pete wants to go, I'm starving. 5k run this morning, 10k yesterday. So I've been battering it, and I'm only doing an evening meal, right? Today it's treat day. I'm gonna have a cheese and ham toasty. Okay, but toasty's there, ready to go. It's not cooked yet, but it will be. But I can't go in to get it until I've cleaned and put all the tools back. Now, they've got to come back out again, but I just cannot eat my sandwich knowing the tools are all on the floor. I just can't do it. What's that? Do you know that? Are you familiar with that concept? Is that what you're like? Or can you down tools and go and eat? I can't. Help me. Somebody, please. Help me. Okay, so copper hammers, blocks of wood, just splits the wood, tapping the pistons, copper hammer and blocks of wood, and it just chews the wood up. Nothing's moved. More lube down, nothing's moved. You might think this is wrong. I've written on every cap, bearing cap and small end cap, whatever they're called, with the number, but I'm also going to bag them independently as well. I have no idea what you have to do. I don't know how you do the timing gear. I know we can remove this cover in a minute. And I put the crank pulley back on because I was just trying to turn it again, but nothing. So I'll take that back off and then take this timing cover off. And I guess I'm going to have to remove the cam and the timing sprocket wheel. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. But I had another idea before I do, is that I've noticed, if you look at the big end caps, or the bearing caps, whatever they're called, big end caps, yeah. If I took two off and knock the piston, knock the crank that way, then this these pistons should stay in position. So that would half the resistance or half the load. We don't know which piston's stuck or whether all of them are stuck, but I'm thinking, just before I do anything else, should I undo, let's say, these two? What would be the best place to strike it from? Probably the outside pair. I'm thinking, if we hit the outside pair with these caps Should it go the way the engine turns? It makes no difference actually. But what I'm saying is if I take off 2 caps, it's going to relieve 2 of the pistons off the crank. Then you're only hitting 2 pistons as opposed to it locked up on 4. And indeed, if one of those middle ones is the jammed one, it would release it. So that's why I've labelled them caps. So we don't do them. It's probably wrong, probably completely useless. But if I was on a desert island, that's what I'd be thinking. Right, I've got to unjam this. Which piston's the one? I mean, obviously, if they're really fused in, then you've got to pull the crank out and knock them individually straight through. And if that doesn't work, you've got to drop the block in something I would have thought to ease it up. Can't really use acid because you're going to attack the aluminium with the pistons, I suppose. But yeah, that was a little theory I had. Take off 2 of these end caps so that they're not resisting and knock the opposite way. And surely the crank's going to be pulling away from that piston and won't be connected to it anymore because the cap's off. So if that theory is correct or not, you'll see a shell under there as well. And we'll see how scored they are. So I'm going to investigate a bit more there. Well, that theory worked. It's gone. Just tapped on this one, on big end 1, piston 1, and look, it's opened up. Pistons, a crank starting to go down. So either 2 or 3 of the seized ones, 1 and 4 are not seized. So if I tap it back again until it closes back up and rebolt up, say number 2, and it still turns, then 3 is jammed, or vice versa. So it's either 2 or 3 that's seized, the others are not seized. Okay, so in theory, you could now unseize the engine. It's doable, and then you could put it back together now and run it as a slapping engine. If indeed Richard agrees that play that I can feel on the top of the bore is enough to make the engine unviable. Some might say that a little bit of wear at the top's normal. I don't know. I don't think that it is. When I've had engines built, it's nice and parallel. But how much wear and stuff, and obviously we're trying to save cash. Can I put it back together and it'll run, or will it burn oil and slap? If it does those things, there's obviously no point doing it. Obviously there's a break point where it's viable and not. So I've just got to chat to other people. I need to learn, but this has worked. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap back down on the crank and close it back up, then bolt save. I'll do number 2 first, bolt that back up and see if it's 3 that jammed it. Want to put your bets on now? It's a 50-50 bet. Black or red? Place your bets now on the roulette. P2's, Pappa's, Crankcase roulette. Let's play. Hang on a sec, let's see if we can do this. Let's flip it. Let's do a what's the name? What's it called? Jackass. When Jackass do. Can I get this far enough back? I need a hook nut style where he has a big long stick that he puts the camera on. I've seen him going around like this huge long pole that he seems to take with him. I've got there, it's a Henry the Hoover, that might work. I want to say Hubnut's got a huge long pole because that'd sound wrong. I'm P2 from Cortina City, and this is Crankshaft Lottery. No, that's not right, not Crankshaft Lottery. Crankshaft Roulette. Here we go, let's go again. Over here. Got ya. Ready? Are you ready? We've got a good background. Yeah, Krypton as a background, why not? I'm ready because there'll be a footage clip at the end. Come on, track. There we go. I'm P2 from Cortina City, and this is Crankcase Roulette. Here's a good one for you. The results are in, and it's a 0. A 0's coming on the roulette board. Do you want to know why? Who's going to type before it comes up? Who's ahead of the game? 2 or 3? Does anyone get it? I didn't. I guessed 3. Who guessed 2? You're both wrong. 2 and 3. You're both wrong. Do you know why? Because they're both jammed. Who got it? That's the 0 on the table. Look, watch the movements here now. 16 on the crank pulley, okay? Gives us movement at long last. Pistons are moving. Engine on 1 and 4 are good. 2 and 3 are seized. And they're still seized. But at least we know which ones to attack. What might be easier now is getting some clearance between the piston and the crank, so that now if I strike them from the top on 2 and 3, the piston is not hitting the crank, so it's going to give it more of a chance to break away. It's doing less work, where you're getting more bang for your buck. So if I park the crank with the a big gap between the shell there, like it is now, and spin the engine round, we want to whack the piston, and basically it's going to try and close it back up. Okay, so far that's what's happening. 2 and 3 are both stuck. So I undid 2, tried to turn it, wouldn't go, put 2 back, undid 3, still wouldn't go. Did you get it? Someone could have predicted before I'd even done this. Yes, but they might both be stuck. And whoever did that gets the Cortina City prize. I'm going to flip it and start whacking the piston from the top. Another sacrificial block of wood is in. We're splitting them, but we know what we're doing now. And it might go easier with this gap. Look, these off. Don't know what condition these are in. Are they scored? Doesn't look scored. Got to keep those as they are. Loads of water between the... Oh, nah, don't think that should have that much play in it. Oh no, that's because the crank's away from it. What am I on about? So we want to knock that now until it takes that play up. So that's number 3. I'll relabel this. I believe you have to keep these in order, and they're facing the right way as well. Let's not get them facing the wrong way. All the numbers up that side. All the rest free to bar. Okay. Okay. Gone. Felt it go. 3's gone. What? Check for the wobble on the... No, gone. 3 has gone. 2 still loose. Hear that? 3, it's closed up. So just 2 left to go. A little tickle. Right, the block's taking a beating though. Combination of the block and the copper hammer, both. I've got to really hit this. This is the last stand now. Oh! 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 No, still not gone. You can kind of feel the wood go and you hear the tone change. No, not even shifted that yet. So 2 is the worst one. So I was half there. Anyone else on 2 before we did the 0 killer, then you were, I guess 3 was saying he's going to be 3. And he went, but 2 is taking some serious blows. Oh! Take the wood out. I don't know. Another break, another break. Wow, is this right, everybody? Am I doing things right? You're not wrong. I heard a trick about boiling oil. So let's boil some oil. Let's get the heat gun on. Get ourselves a little swirl bath going on of red hot boiling oil. Careful now, this could be really dangerous. Look at this. Pete C's boiling oil bath. Someone said it's tried and tested. Get a boiling oil down there. Well, that's... you can heat it up on a pan and pour it in, apparently. But I thought, well, I've got a heat gun. Right, and I'll get that smoking soon. Very hot oil, folks. You'll be really careful here. I've got exposed arms here, so we're on red alert. I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got a welding jacket there. I'm putting that on. I'm not taking no risks with this. Let's get the coat on for this job. And really, we want a face mask because it could burn my face. I'll be really careful now. So, piston 2 is gone. It's not gone, it's stuck. 3 is okay. So piston 2 with severe whacking. Look at the block. Still not going. So we try this technique. Bit naughty, but what's the flash point of oil, anyone? Okay, we're ready to go in. We've got the swap arms, got the heat sensor here. Gloves and jacket on. Switch off. Because we've got smoke coming out now. We've got smoke. That is boiling. The oil is boiling. Right, it's like chip pan fire job. Do you like my bungee strap set up here for the heat gun? Grab that, unhook, put that down. Right, so what's the temperature of this? It is 121, so it's not mega. It's certainly hot. Over boiling point. I think if you're on a pan and stove, you could take that to the flash point probably. The heat gun will probably take it up a bit more than that, but it's starting to smoke. So I thought, well, that's as far as prepared to go with that kind of temperature and stuff. It's just a bit risky, pushing me luck. But yeah, that's hot oil on it now. So the piston will heat it up, which of course is the opposite of what you want. You want the block to heat up. But that's the technique they say, you know, boiling oil down there. So you can only try it, even though it seems counterintuitive to me. But, you know, I would say heat up the block, not the piston. And also, you've got to be careful. I mean, I don't know what they're rated at, the pistons, what actually temperature they can take. I know I burnt a hole, actually in a Kent engine. I burnt a hole through a piston. Got a picture of that somewhere when we took the engine out. That was 1988 Ford Escort Mark II van. Yeah, so yeah, it's hot. It's 120. It's boiling. Oh, just 20 over boiling water. I can't feel it even through the glove. So I don't know. I don't want to take that anymore, as far as I'm prepared to go with that. Right, let me clean that up and then I'm going to whack it again. Well, that worked. It's gone. Hot oil and a block of wood. Boom. That's gone. Down that one goes. So that's all of them free now. So I'll put it back together and just turn it by hand, and we should get all the pistons. Should slowly work its way in. We'll put a little bit of oil on each butt. And then we'll just work it round. At least the engine's free. I think I like the challenge more than anything else, even though if it's got to be, at least if you've got to take it apart now, you can just knock the pistons out, then put it on the bench. We'll let Richard do that after. But I don't like being beaten. So you see, it's a bit of a workout. Pete doesn't like getting beaten. So, bit of a coconut break. Can you guess what it is? Who remembers when these used to be in a nice little cardboard tray? Nice. Can you guess what it is yet? Yeah. Right, all 4 pistons are free. So now we're going to knock them out. They like going down, but these 2 in the middle, you're still resisting going back up. And it's pointless just trying to rotate the crank just for the sake of it, because I've noticed as I've knocked both of these to the full extreme, the ball's rusty. So the best thing to do is take it to bits completely. That's what we're going to do. Got the boxes here to put each corresponding big end bearing cap in. So that that's what you have to do. Then they're done. Starts at front crank pulley number 1 and then goes that way down. I'm going to strip all these off now and then knock the pistons out. I'm going to knock them out from the top straight down. These ones, they'll keep going down, but it's harder to knock them back out the other way. So we'll get the crank out now. Off we go. Right, that's the timing cover removed. That reveals that chain driven camshaft. I've marked the chain, although I would imagine there'll be a technique for lining these up. The engine boys will know that. I doubt I'll be putting it back. But anyway, I marked it anyhow. There's a little snail cam there that's a tensioner. Feels like that spring's very weak. I bet that's one serviceable part you have to change on these. So I've got that out, and then I'll do all the end caps and main bearing caps and then lift the crank out. That's the next job. This, out she goes. So that's the crank away. Stick it over here for now, because it's right in the cup of the pistons, so they'll knock all the pistons out. Round we go, there's the spillage. Right, you can just see there. So in theory they'll all go one at a time. Let's just get these crankcase bolts, put them back in the back of the block so I know where they came from. Just screwing these bolts back in here. I don't know another shell fell off then. Yeah, one shell's gone missing. I need to know where it is because they need to be matched to the crank. That's if you don't put new ones on again. I'm guessing. I don't know much about engines. Like I said on the other videos, I don't know, but I have learned. I've learned Pinto's quite good. Not actual full building, but up the top end's not too bad for me now. Camshafts and stuff. I just don't know where that shell went. Where did it drop? If it was. This ain't much good for you at home, is it, this bit? You can't see anything. Right, we need to catch the piston on something that needs to have a soft landing, really. So they're just going to fly out, you see. Shell. Even that's not brilliant, is it? I'll try and catch them. I think I will. Lock. Hammer. Pick your piston. This one will be the hardest one. Starting to go. These ones might be harder. Well, these ones are okay. Okay, so you've got to knock the pistons out backwards. They'll only go so far down here because you've got the journals in the way on the casting. I noticed that as I was knocking them down. 3 out, 1 more to go. This second one, or what's the third one, because I can't from front, it knocked down, remember number 3. It knocked down. Did it want to go back up the way it came? Did it? Hell. Looking at the pistons, before I tell you any more on what we're doing. You have to let me know at home, viewers and patrons, what you think about these pistons. I don't really know what I'm looking for, but that doesn't look even wear to me. That looks like piston slap. Bang, bang, bang. Look, either side of the cylinder wall. That's slapping, I think, and it's going the right way to slap. And I think that the bore is worn and it's a 100,000 mile job. So that's piston number 4. Which was alright, that I hadn't seized, it's 2 and 3. So here's 2, here's one of the ones that seized, you can see why. Completely corroded all down that side, look at that. Locked itself in there, so no wonder that one seized. Listen to all the crud coming out of it, look at that. It's a miracle we managed to get that out. The boiling oil did it. Salvage the con rods, but that's about it. Needs new pistons. So I was going to say TW word then. I smacked it out. I had to. It just wouldn't shift. The wood was just splintering. It was shearing the wood block. So I used a solid square metal bar, not a box section, solid square bar. Whack on one side, whack on the other, whack on one side, because it's got to come out. And as I said, you couldn't use that piston. It's not going to fit in the bore. We're going to have to rebore this engine, so that means new pistons, I think, anyway. I think that's the procedure that they do. Number 1, not as bad, but still, that had its fair share of corrosion too. Look at the rust down the side of there. And you can see that either that's been up against the cylinder and unable to rust, and there's a gap enough, or this was down in the bottom of the piston and that's that corrosion, but it just to me looks like it's worn. And as I said, if you feel the liner, it's got a big lip in it. Crank I don't know about, it's not got any score marks in it, and the shells seemed okay. They weren't scored or scratched or burnt. So I think that it's just a tired engine. So the crank will probably go again. The block itself, I'll need an overbore. The cam I'm not sure about. I'll have to ask the engine builder or Richard what do you think about that cam. But we got it down to manageable parts. It means that it's now I'm able to transport it. I can physically lift that block. And I can physically individually lift any other parts that I would need to take. A lot of these parts need to go in a dipping machine to clean them. It's a bit too much for me to clean at home. They really want proper treatment, those. So we need to look into that. I'm not building the engine concourse, don't forget, but we don't do not doing any grime. If there's corrosion or pitting on them, that's fine, but we're not doing any grime, okay? So there's 3 pistons there, 1 more to knock out. And as I said, I've realised you've got to knock them out this way. My idea of just trying to turn the entire engine over by hand once I'd freed 2 and 3 wasn't going to happen, because whilst the pistons travel downwards, as they come on back on the other stroke, they don't want to go back the way they've just come. In other words, they were just too corroded to be free. You can smack them one way and you'd have to smack them the other way, and eventually they'd start going, but they've got to come out because they're so damaged. The rings are stuck in. I mean, it's just not happening, you know. This is a bad engine, but it can go again. So everything had to come out, and because the pistons are going to get replaced, it doesn't matter that you smack this. There's the bar. Normally, if you're trying to salvage your pistons, you wouldn't do that. You'd be coming up with other techniques like, well, the ones we got, we managed to get them to unseize, which is a good thing, because probably would have got charged extra for someone's time to get those out, so we've saved there. I've learnt a lot along the way. So here's the tripod, you're going to go in it. I'm going to smack the last piston out and I'm going to get some tea. I'm hungry and I'm tired. I've been on the road all day with this. It's time to get some R&R. And I don't know, this could be another hour video, so I need to see. Tripod time. Okay, so the last part of this job, knock this piston out. Doesn't matter, as I said, about damaging it now. alternate sides. Do it without shaking you. There you go. Oh! Imagine trying to turn this by hand. Wow! Whoa! Oh! Whoa! Oh! How's time? Can you see? Oh, it's nearly out. Right, come around this way. There you go. There you go. Oh, that's hard work. It's still well seized in. It's a bad engine. I just want to see the end of this piston. I just want to see what it looks like. So let me see it, will you? Goodbye. Whoa! Woo! Hang on, ear defender's off. What a sludge bucket. What a sludge bucket. Where is it? There. So that's 3. This engine was in a bad state. Clean that up, we'll go down there, we'll have a summary, and we're done. I'm just trying to make it so it looks semi-professional, no cameraman. Right, we've got 4 pistons, of course, and they're all shoddy. They're all gone. This is all, the rings have all rusted in on that one and stuck in. They're actually collapsed inwards. They should be nice and springy. There's no point in labelling these. They all have that stripe on the side. Tell me what that is, please. I say it, but I might be wrong. But they've all got it. I don't think it's the way it was parked in the car when it was laid up. I think it is slap. They're all cruddy, messy, and now the bottom of these are smashed anyway. Well, it probably still work. See where I've struck it? 2 of them anyway. The other 2 came out without any. I used a piece of oak rod. It's actually the stem off a hammer, a very old school hammer stem I used to knock them out. Because you can use that blocks of wood I was using. You should use a good hardwood, and because they were soft woods, that's why they're split, of course. I knew that, but I haven't any hardwoods here. But you'd have a. If you're doing this for a job, you'd have the tools. My job today, the objective was to see whether we could get the engine free and then make it work. You know, make it, put fresh oil in it and clean it. No. It's just too far gone. So, needs core plugs, needs a rebore, pistons, shells, end caps, bearing caps. It needs a crank looking at, see if it's scored, because you might be talking about minute details I don't know about. Needs shells, crank regrind maybe, whatever they do at the engine people place. It needs acid dipping, cleaning, setting up, needs lots of work. So it's not a job that I will do, because it's a job that you've got to get right, and I don't want to make a mistake on this car. If we're on that desert island, well, you know what we'd be doing if we were on the desert island? I'd just be freeing these up. I'd pick these rings out and get them to spring back out. I'd be WDing it all, and I'd put it all back together, and it'd start and it'd go and it'd blow smoke. I don't know what we'd do about the core plugs. You wouldn't have them on a desert island, but you could bolt everything else back together. You know, I'd need a few things. I'd need thermostat housing. I mean, you could do it with no water cooling. There's enough to get this running. You could have got the fuel pump going, you could have got it going, it would have been no exhaust. You'd have probably got this going with everything we've got here without water cooling, I think. Anyway, we digress. It's not happening, there's no point even thinking about these pistons. And look at how the rings are on this, because I know you like to feast your eyes. It's a bit of a gore fest. Look how the rings are just flush and not springy out on this. And if that was one of the ones that came out easy, which one is that? No, that's right, because it was a label. This is the hard one. Can you see? Crank. Oh, you can judge for yourself. I'll just give you a random view of one of the journals, whatever they're called. Let's see what you think about the crank. You can see it there in YouTube land. What would you look for? I know those oil tubes, oil holes are feeds, oil feeds, and that's what gets you oil pressure for your big ends. I know that much. I know it would be hard for you to judge from that, but it's got some packing pieces as well. I think that's for end float. These moon things. I don't know what, I think that's to stop it moving backwards and forwards, the crank, to give it the right amount of play. The shells, I don't think you'd reuse these. You'd be changing all this. So I'm going to clean up. It's been a long day for me today. I'll take some time off work to do this. Yeah, I mean, even the gudgeon pins I'm not sure about, and this sideways movement, there's a lot of sideways play in that, as though that's worn. I can move that conrod. It doesn't feel right. The rings are out on this, or two of them are. There's the rings. The rings have a little pathway for the oil to get down. Yeah, that's how it works. I'm learning all the time. I thought rings were hard to get off. I just pulled that off. I know you've got to have a tool to squash them to get them into the bore. How that quite works. They squash together and open out. Clever. It's interesting stuff. Right, that's it. That's stiff as well. That one's not got as much play in the conrod. Is that the conrod? I think it is. And the tops of the pistons are alright, but it's just because it's sat and it's high mileage. So that's it. Regarding the block, well, it's a good 711M block. Oh, and it's stamped up with Pappa's number, so I want to use it. So I'm going to take it in to an engine place. So that's it, I'm done. I'm going to put everything away. Bramble's got to come back in here now. Bramble's manoeuvred out for this. Good to have some working space. We did alright with the engine cranes and everything. So it's a day to strip it down. It could have worked, couldn't it? Could have been mint, could have been rebuilt. That ain't been rebuilt. Right, as once again, thanks for watching and tuning in. Patrons, YouTubers, PayPalers, superchargers, super chatters. And now, what's it called? There's a new button on the bottom of each vid. Super thanks. Super thanks! Catch you on the next one. PC is signing out from Cortina City. Will there be bonus footage? Who knows? And let us know who won on the crankshaft roulette game that we played earlier on. That 0 coming in, but the 3 was, let us know. It was quite fun playing that crankshaft roulette. I think we might play that again. See you soon. I'm signing out. I'm going. I'm hungry. Bye. Hasta la vista, baby. Before I go in, Richard's arrived. He wasn't even late. I just never told him I'd done that much work. But he's going to give us an assessment of the engine. You heard my assessment of it. Rich, what we got?
As well as the bore damage and that worn out cam.
How bad's the bore damage?
The bore damage, the lip on there.
Right, I was worried about that lip.
You'd have to oversize it, and it's got a lot of piston slap. See the clean patches where it's been slapping.
Whoa, that's what them stripes were then, because
Yeah.
I thought...
But the cam lobes are virtually non-existent.
Hey? Cam lobes? Non-existent? It's my engine. Please, no.
And your actual followers.
If I wasted my time stripping this. I suppose
Yeah, you have to assess it, don't you? And the cam bearings aren't good either, because I should be able to flick that around with my hand.
Well, it's all still a bit early days.
It's a full rebuild.
Because the shell's just sitting there, so anything should have happened to them, should they?
No.
Is that copper? Or rust?
That's rust. It's rust,
But it's showing scuff marks.
Yeah, well worn there.
Don't bother putting that back in.
That's a very, very worn engine.
So it is a 97,000 job, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's never been rebuilt. So my dream of hoping that it would, in its life, been nicely serviced and rebuilt. Well, it has been serviced, but it's just tired.
They were never designed to do that sort of mileage.
Look at the jacket. The amount of crud in that jacket.
Yeah. It needed vapour blasting. Otherwise you're constantly having crusty water.
All that's got to come out.
Yeah,
Pinto.
Definitely.
Does flip.
Yeah.
You can see where the pistons were seized if you flip it. Pull the locking pin out and flip it. I'll clean it up, that'll make it better.
Give it a wipe. Hide all your sins.
Yeah, I'll have a wipe down, see what you think. Wipe a bore and have a look. And waterways were clogging up, weren't they? Look at that.
Yeah.
I said on the video it'll have cooked itself.
They're even worse.
It's like some kind of matter.
Got cancer.
Yeah, some kind of...
Rust cancer.
It's some kind of alien, actually. I think it was the middle two that'll be the worst, because that's...
Yeah, but you're looking at a good one. It's like looking at a cut down tree with all the rings.
Right. Hell, Andre must have been smoking this car. No wonder.
With his homies.
I know what. With his homies. What that klaxon was for, to warn you of all the bellowing smoke and the noise. Slap, 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 slap. Mate, I had to smack these pistons.
I can imagine looking at them bars.
Honestly, I was getting a sweat on, and bits of wood were just splintering off and flying across.
There's evidence there.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah. I didn't think it'd be done by the time you got. Yeah, that's probably the best one.
If that's the best, I'd hate to see the worst.
When I felt that, I thought it was wrong, but I weren't sure if it was meant to be milled in.
No.
I thought, no, that's how much metal it's lost over its lifetime. But you could make it 1700.
Yeah, you're talking taking that out.
This has got to go and get done then. We better get it. Oh, is it, or is still 50-50 Pinto? I mean, I don't know. I'm more confused than when I took it apart. In some ways, I wish that I hadn't, but I didn't know.
No, it's definitely a toss-up on money.
Yes,
Which way to go, especially when you've got a full, complete engine.
It just won't look as original with a Pinto in, that's all.
No. But we can rebuild this. It can be rebuilt.
Were you going to do it then?
Yeah, looks like
Oh my god, I've been cracking up all day playing playing the crankshaft roulette.
Piston roulette.
Yeah.
Piston broke after
Yeah,
this.
Piston. Yeah, too right. There's a Marillion album called Piston Broke. Now I've just realised what it actually means, and I never knew that. Piston broke, pissed, and I never knew that. That's what I've learnt today, other than engines.
Yeah,
How about this bit of about the head? What about flip the head round and have a look at that?
Flip the head round.
See if there's any
That's
recession.
what I was doing it.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, it gets worse.
Hey, I thought this looked good. Why is that like that? Is that stuck?
It's stuck open, yeah. You'd never turn that over. The same again.
Oh, you mean the piston would have hit it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have just knocked it back though?
No, it would have bent it. So that's a full rebuild as well, and that wants a few thou taken off it.
Oh no! Andre! Is that blocked? Yeah. And I jet washed it. Ugh! This would have been an overheater, weren't it? Maybe it heat seized.
It'd have been the Thomas the Tank engine there, hasn't it?
Wow! Whoa! This gets better when Richard's here. I don't know what I'm doing. Nice. I mean, I did see some crud round the jacket, and I was commenting about. Looks like curry paste. Ash. Curry. No. I thought that was supposed to be. I was trying not to break that. I thought, I don't want to. Whoa.
Yeah, it wants vapour blasting that. We can rebuild. Or do we Pinto?
Mate, I'm going to go to bed tonight knowing in no better...
Place your bets, Pinto or Kent.
And these are just shocking, aren't they?
Slapper, lapper, lapper.
So the brown bit is...
See, that's how your ring should be.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I was saying it on the... Yeah. The brown bit, is that where it blows back? Blows through the engine?
Yeah, it's blow back.
So it would have smoked the sump?
Yeah. See, you've only got half the rings working there.
So the back pressure would have been in the sump, wouldn't it? It would have been going past the pistons into the sump. This would have been a smoking car then, wouldn't it? And there you have it, folks. That's the score on the door.
Yeah, not nice.
But no one said it'd be easy. And now Richard's telling me about these carburetors, that they're absolutely terrible.
The junk.
It's Weber that, you know.
Yeah. Weber having a bad day.
I reckon it'll go.
Oh, it run. Say it's like a bucket with a hole in. Pour your petrol in.
I was trying to get the crank out and I hadn't took the back casing off. I was like, why is this crank not coming out? And there's a casing at the back.
Yeah, for the oil seal.
Yeah. I got it in the end. And I tell you another funny one on the video. Right. I'm trying to get the... Oh, lovely. Yeah. I thought it was a microphone.
Oh.
I tell you, and that's with diesel flush through it. It was a really good one. I was trying to load the engine onto the crane, docking it to that, and the engine was here. So I was trying to get that parked between it, wouldn't go. I thought it just doesn't reach. And I realised you can extend the arm. It's like, I bet everyone that's watching is going, extend the arm, he's behind you, extend the arm. I just think I was dopey today because I got up so early. Just a complete dope head I am. I've never been so dopey recently. So that's it. That was your bonus footage at the end. Richard's on a bum steer. But he hasn't got mucky today. We've had a chat.
Prior to him being here, I was mucky.
The muscles.
Like this.
The muscle busters. This is clean for Richard. Clean. Look what he's got. Another wacky. What a machine. This was gonna fix everything till I got involved. This was going to fix everything. It's the answer to all. Proper sockets and a proper... That my great big three-phase thing looks like it should be on a building site, jackhammering concrete. Anyway, there you go. I'm learning though. Took me an hour to tidy up. Over and out.